So towards the end of my campus time, I got involved in a habit, and that habit was cigarette smoking. It was not something that I thought would get to become an addiction. It was just something I began, and it was just trying out to see what it was. And from just starting out, it became something that was enjoyable to me. Because when you continuously do something, there is satisfaction that is derived from that thing. So I started to enjoy it, and I remember I got out of campus and went back home. So since I was staying with my parents that are really, really strict, I used to do it when I was not at home, like maybe when I go out to party, because then I was still partying, I was still the life of a party, I was still partying. So I would do it when I'm not at home, then come back home and act like everything is alright. So the habit grew. The habit grew that I started to even sneak and do it behind the house at home. So from doing it behind the house at home, I don't know, I think something just takes over when you start to enjoy something. Like all you want to do is keep indulging in the habit, keep indulging in the habit. And for cigarette smoking, I keep telling people that tobacco is not something that anyone should play with. Tobacco is not something that anyone should play with, because it is very, very addictive. It is very addictive to the extent that even if it's just a thought that crossed your mind and you were doing something, you would want to engage in it. You would want to indulge yourself in it. Until you indulge yourself in it, you won't be able to do anything. Then you would want to indulge yourself in it when it comes to maybe you've eaten food and you're satisfied. You're like, let me do one, let me relax, and all that. So this habit really grew. And I remember there's a time I was at my... So this habit really grew, and it started now worrying me, because this is something I never lifted up in prayer. Don't forget, I was a born again Christian, a serving Christian, and I used to go to church every Sunday. But this is something I never lifted up to the Lord. And that is what addictions do to you. You never actually even want to admit you're doing something. You never, because you don't seem it, it doesn't seem like something that is going to give you a hard time actually. So it started to worry me. It started to worry me because one of the ways that the Lord talks to me, so I'll maybe discuss the ways you can know that the Lord is talking to you, how you hear his voice, because everybody hears his voice in a different way. So I got to a time where I was seeing so many people who were sick of cancer on Facebook. And for me, I'm very alert. I just knew the Lord was telling me it was time to let go of that habit. But this is a habit I had underestimated from the start, because I thought I was going to wake up and say I was done, and that was it. I remember sometime I'd visited a friend of mine and I just broke down and cried. I told them, I feel like I want to stop, but I don't have the willpower to stop. I told them I want to stop so badly. And I actually told them, why is it that God has given me a heavy burden from the rest of the people? People are carrying burdens, but I feel like mine is carrying a burden. Because I told him, why would I keep doing something that is going to kill me? Because I knew that God had warned me about it. I had been seeing people who were sick of cancer, but I still didn't have the strength to quit. I tried quitting cold turkey. Cold turkey is where you just wake up and say you're done. The longest I'd gone was just a couple of days, about 2 days, and that was it. I was back to the habit. So by then, I like to listen to sermons. I was always listening to Joel Osteen in those years. That was around 2017, 2016. I was listening to Joel Osteen. And I remember him saying that for you to break a habit, you need to tell yourself that you're not who that habit makes you be, like an addict. Like if you're an addict, you're supposed to first tell yourself, I am not an addict. I am not actually say, if you are a cigarette smoker, say, I am not a cigarette smoker. I am not a cigarette smoker. It was really funny at that time, because if you are indulging in a habit and you keep telling yourself you're not one, Actually, it takes courage to tell yourself you're not one. So I kept telling myself, even when I was doing it, even when I was lighting it up, even when I was getting involved in it, I started slowly telling myself, I am not a cigarette addict. I am not a smoker. I am not a smoker, and I am not what? A smoker. So the habit really grew that my mother found out. When my mom finds out, she is not bitter with me. She is not bitter with me, and I thank God for her. She wasn't bitter with me. She just sat me down and she said, Jenna, there are people in your family that have been involved in this thing before. So I've seen them fight it, and I believe that you can fight it. So I kept trying to fight it. I kept trying to fight it. I told her severally that I would stop. Several times that I had stopped. Then again, she would smell me. And she would be like, you're back to the same habit. And I didn't know what to tell her. Because honestly, I didn't know what to tell her. So after a couple of times of saying that I had stopped, and I was still getting involved in it, I just didn't know what to do. Honestly, I didn't know what to do because I tried everything in my strength, So now there comes a time when I really am affected by the habit, and I want to what? To stop. I got in contact with somebody. I actually met somebody randomly. You know, the ways of God, we need to be really alert. Like, I'll share in times to come that the Lord is always speaking out for us. The Lord is always speaking through different people. You just need to be alert to know that this could be the Lord talking to me. I remember I bumped into somebody and I didn't seem happy with my life. You know, they asked me, but they could tell I was a born again actually. So we got into like that jazz, and they were like, why aren't you happy? Born again Christians are supposed to be the happiest people. We are in freedom, we are in rest, we are supposed to be happy. So I told them I had lost a younger sister. I lost a younger sister in 2012. And that somehow pulled me back from the Lord. I had not really noticed because I thought I had gone through the trauma just fine. But somehow, it pulled me back from the Lord a little bit. Because whenever I heard them say the Lord was a healer, I'd think about it and I'm like, I believe the Lord and everything. So I shared with them and they shared with me a Bible verse in relation to a person who has died in Jesus Christ. So thereafter, they encouraged me to read my Bible. They're like, by the way, do you read your Bible? So all these years I had been in Christianity, I was not reading my Bible. I was not reading my Bible, which is very, very dangerous. If you know you're a Christian out there, born again Christian, and you don't own a Bible, you don't read the Bible, you could be in trouble. You are in trouble actually. So I dedicated myself and I told him, okay, I am going to go to the Lord. And mind you, all this time I had been in church. I had always heard about the Lord, about Jesus Christ, about everything, because as family I had grown up in church. But me, myself, deep down in my heart, I don't think I had encountered the Lord to actually know on my own that the Lord existed, or that God actually existed. I had seen the miracles and everything, but you need to experience Him. You need to experience Him for your own. Because at that time I was believing because my mom believed. I was believing because my pastor looked convincing, and they're talking about this guy, they look convincing, and maybe that guy is what? He's alive and he is what they say he is, or he is what the word says he is. So I remember deciding that I was going to come and know the Lord. I remember telling the Lord, God, I am coming to know you. I am coming to seek you. And I told him, your word says, if somebody seeks you honestly with all their heart, they will find you. They will find you. And this is what happened. I had a Bible. Then before I actually bought myself a Bible, there was a Bible that I had that I was using at home. It wasn't mine, but it was available for me to use. So I started reading the Bible. about the Bible. Remember, I was being intentional and I told the Lord that I'm coming to get to know Him. I started reading the Bible. And you won't believe what happened. I think after like 3 days into reading the Bible, the Lord came and whispered to me and told me I used to be a cigarette addict. And it just came like a thought, and I'm like, what? I used to be a cigarette addict. Mind you, I could not go a day without doing one. And I realized that by the time the Lord came to remind me that I was a cigarette addict, it had been a couple of days, about 5 days. About 5 days. This is me going 5 days without touching it, without even having the urge. The fact that I'd even forgotten I was one. I'm talking about 5 days slipping by of not knowing that God has lifted something from you that you have suffered from, something that has given you a hard time, something that has weighed you down, something that has given you sleepless nights, something that has worried you. And that is how I derived the cornerstone verse that I have. That is the time the Lord authored my faith. That is the time I experienced His power. That is the time I experienced His power. And that is why my cornerstone verse is John 8:36. Who the Son sets free is free indeed. This is a testimony for me that who the Son sets free is free indeed. You people, I have gone years since I was delivered from cigarettes without having an urge. I have never had an urge. I have never wanted. I have never been involved in it. I remember when it was lifted off me and I told my friends, it was unbelievable when I told my friends that I was no longer a smoker. Actually, I didn't even tell my mom because I didn't know what to tell her. I had told her everything. I had told her severally I had stopped. Several times I told her I had stopped. So I was free from it, and people kept asking me like, how did you stop? I told them I will not lie to you. This is what happened. I told them I read the word. When I started reading my word diligently, the addiction was lifted off me. So what am I trying to say? That's why I said, if you are a Christian and you don't own a Bible, you don't read a Bible, you're in trouble. Because the word itself says that the word of the Lord has inherent power to perform. The word itself, this Bible that you see right here, this Bible that you see right here, is the person of Jesus Christ Himself. It has power to perform. The Bible further says that it is alive. It is alive. It is alive. It is alive. This power, this word delivered me from something I had tried to stop for very, very many years. Very, very many years. So that is how the Lord delivered me from it. Actually, I didn't even tell my mom. She just noticed after a couple of months that I wasn't, smelling it anymore, and I wasn't getting involved in it. And I remember she was worried sometime, and she told me, and I told her, Mommy, honestly, the Lord delivered me from that a long time ago. And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't tell you because I didn't know where to begin from. I told you several times that I'd stopped, but I hadn't stopped. So what I wrote down some things for you just to watch out for, just like a conclusion after this testimony. First of all, I would want to say that we all get involved in habits, but you may be waking up a demon that you do not know in a habit. So the Lord told me last year that I was actually predominantly exposed through my genes, because I've lost uncles on both my dad's side and on both my mom's side to that habit. Meaning when I was starting to get involved in it, I was waking up something I didn't know. I was waking up a demon, So once you wake up that thing, it starts to yearn, it starts to ask for more, it starts to demand. Because I became a slave to it. There are times I wanted to stop and I could not stop. That was me being a slave to something. Yet the word says that Christ came that we may be free. We ought to be free. You don't have to have anything enslaving you. You ought not to. So my conclusion is, It will come from the book of, I'm going to read a couple of verses. Sorry, I'm going to read a couple of verses that I want to share with you. And what I would want to say is, don't underestimate your flesh. You know, I was engaged in cigarette smoking. The people who have been caught up in habits, in pornography, people have been caught up in masturbation, people have been caught up in very many funny habits. But that's all the flesh. This is what is the flesh. Your body is the flesh. And something that people don't actually tell you, that I had to learn on my journey, that I'll share some time back, is that the flesh is very unsatisfiable. Like, you cannot satisfy it. You cannot satisfy it. I'm telling you. You cannot satisfy it. It will always demand. It will always want more. Whenever you give, it will always want more. It will always want more. Because when you think about it, like, don't you wonder people who overdose over drugs? Do you think someone would want to overdose? But what would make somebody maybe sniff something until they drop dead? What? This flesh is asking, this flesh is yearning, this flesh keeps demanding for more, keeps demanding for more, keeps demanding for more. So, and someone won't tell you, it just begins as something fun. Something fun until it's enjoyable, until you are enslaved to it. So the word says in 1 Corinthians 6:12. This is let me read for you the NIV version, because I have an NIV Bible, and it says it says, I have the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have a right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. So me, I had been mastered by anything. I had been mastered by cigarettes. As no longer its master, it was my master now, because I had to get into something I didn't want to get into, because something had taken my place of being the master. So I wanted to give you another translation as well, that says, just because, this is a Passion Translation, it says, just because something is technically legal, it does not mean it is spiritually appropriate. If I went around doing whatever I thought I could get by, or I could get with, then I will be a slave to my whims. The Bible further says in Galatians 5:13, and I'm going to read for you the Passion Version as well. It says, beloved ones, God has called us to a life of freedom. Freedom, you're supposed to be free. You're supposed to be able to control whatever it is, not be involved in something that is going to take over your place of being the master. And it says, but don't view this wonderful freedom as an opportunity to set up a base of operations in the natural realm. Freedom means that we become completely free of self-indulgence, and that we become servants of one another, expressing love in all that we do. So the last one I'll share with you is Romans 12:1. It says, offer up your bodies as living sacrifices unto the Lord. And the Passion Version says, beloved friends, what should our proper response to God's marvelous mercies be? Then it further says, I encourage you to surrender yourselves to God, to be as to his sacred, I encourage you to surrender yourselves to God, to be his sacred and living sacrifices, and live in holiness, experiencing all that delights his heart, for this is your genuine worship of God. The only way you can show God that maybe the ultimate expression of worship unto God is keeping these bodies holy, is keeping these bodies in check. He gave us these bodies, but that was not permission for us to indulge in anything. Like the word has said, you are free to indulge in anything. You are. But not everything is permissible. No, not everything. Not everything. So as I leave, I would want to lift up somebody in prayer, somebody who is still stuck in anything, somebody who has a habit that has seemed to master them, somebody who has had somebody who keeps getting involved in something, and they just won't stop. They don't have the willpower to stop. And for me, this is my ministry. Actually, this is what led me to my personal ministry, which I'll share in time to come. That whatever you overcome, you have power over. You have power over. Once you overcome it, you have power over. So let me lead you in a short prayer, and I believe that the Lord will set you free. Oh, before I forget, if you want to let go of a habit, first of all, you have to accept that that is going on. In most cases, you don't even want to accept that you're an addict or you're struggling with something. You know, the devil doesn't even makes it, you don't even want to say it with your mouth. You need to first admit that you're getting involved in it, and then you need to want to let it go. Because the Lord is not going to take away something you have not handed over to Him. He gives us free will. He is not going to come and slip you away from something. You need to cry out to Him. You need to tell Him, this thing has given me a hard time. I don't have the own strength. I don't have my own strength to stop it, but I know that you have the strength to stop it. You need to surrender it. You need to surrender it. So if there is something that you're involved in, something that just won't let you go, you need to surrender it to Him. You need to come forward and tell Him, God, loving Father, there is something that has seemed, do you know what? That has seemed to prove itself in my life, but I know you are bigger, God. That is why I call Him my deliverer. I know if He could come and tell that addiction, that leave my daughter alone in just 3 days, there is nothing I cannot do for you. So I should be an encouragement, because the word says in Revelation that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the power of our testimonies. Each time I tell you that He set me free from something, I could set someone else free from it. Because you could be watching me and you're asking yourself how you're going to let go of a habit, how you're going to stop getting involved into a habit. And that is the way. Lift it up in prayer. And let me lift you up in prayer as well. God loving Father, thank you. Thank you for the boldness you've given me to share this. Thank you, oh loving Father, because you're using me as a vessel to reach out to your body. Thank you, oh loving Father, because you have the power to perform. Yes, loving Father, I lift up everyone that could be watching. Anyone that will come across this video, oh loving Father, that is still stuck in a habit, that is still stuck in an addiction, that is still stuck in something that has proven to be a master over them. Your word says that you came that will be free, oh loving Father. Will you deliver them from whatever it is that is proving them that itself strong in their lives? Will your power, oh loving Father, deliver it from them? May you show yourself strong, because your word says, in our weakness, oh loving Father, we see your strength. So in our weakness, oh loving Father, may we see your strength. May you glorify yourself in our lives. May you come and show yourself strong in our lives. Thank you, oh loving Father, because I know that you've heard my prayer, and I know that you're setting somebody free, and I know that you're giving somebody courage to actually walk up to you and surrender some things to you. And I pray all this through the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. So thank you so much, and tune in next time. Please share this video, like, subscribe if you're new, and share it. If you know somebody needs to hear it, please share it. Please share it. Please share it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.